You're listening to a pre-recorded show.
You're listening to the Weekend Real Estate Report on 105.7 The Fan.
You do a great job here giving the audience quite a bit of information. For a lot of guys like me, I'm sure a lot of females have certainly have been enlightened and informed to help their life a little bit better. So keep up the good work.
Once again, Carl Delmont.
All right, we are back. I'll tell you what, if you're looking for great holiday decorations, look no further than our friends at Flowers and Fancies. Over 40 years of making first impressions amazing for everybody. This is the same florist that when Preakness comes to town, they choose every single year, and for good reason. These guys are really, really good at what they do. Over 300 fresh flowers flown in daily, and again, open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday. If you get your order before 3 o'clock, guess what? Same-day delivery in Baltimore and the surrounding counties. They really, really do a great job, so you can check them out. Also, they have online classes. If you want to learn how to make wreaths or table decorations or whatever, they have online classes available as well. The whole concierge division that can help you with weddings and holiday events, whatever else you may need. So check them out, flowersandfancies.com. Like them on social media, and if you place an order, tell them you heard it here on the radio. They'll like that. And, of course, we have with us we have Tony and Erica with Integrity Plus Network of Coldwell Banker. Their team is growing, doing amazing things. They work with us a lot, so we see firsthand just how good they are at what's going on out there. And, the market changing a little bit. I guess chime in here, Tony. I mean, what we're seeing now is still some multiple offer situations, but not like on every deal like it was. And I think the market's normalizing just a little bit. What are you seeing out there?
I do. I think it's still a seller's market for the most part, but I think there's definitely pockets that have cooled off. Back when in the craziness, I think I had some properties that had like up to 30 offers and 60 some showings in 2 days. It was like insanity. And now those hot areas, I'm seeing anywhere from maybe 5 to 10 offers typically. So they're still pretty hot. If you're a seller, that's still great, right? But it's definitely cooled off. I think normalizing a little bit. And I think a big part of it is, I think we've kind of peaked at the price, and I think we've gotten a little bit more inventory. So I think that's all helped kind of normalize it, which I think personally is a good thing because it was getting a little crazy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it wasn't sustainable. So with this whole Zillow news, and I kind of talked about the last segment, roughly 7,000 properties that they're going to have to dispose of. Obviously, it's not all in our listening market, but do you think that'll help inventory a little bit?
Yeah, I think in those areas it definitely will help. I mean, it's a shame that they're going to have to. I heard they're laying off like 25% of the people in that division. So, as uncertain as things are, that's a shame. But I think relying on these algorithms and these estimates are kind of showing you. I've read before that they're typically like 17% off, and there's really no personal touch like having a realtor that knows the market that can come out because Zillow cannot see inside the house and see the condition. They have a tendency to kind of spread out a little bit and go outside of the subdivision or even the zip code sometimes. And then, as you know, that will really affect the price. So I think they kind of, honestly hung themselves with what they did with their own estimates.
Yeah, what's your thoughts? I was talking to a realtor, and they said they were looking at a house, and the listing agent had attached to the MLS the Zestimate, and the Zestimate was less than what the asking price was. And the realtor told me, he's like, that's Realtor 101. Why the hell did you do that? Is that something common, or is that just an oversight by a rookie agent?
I think that was an oversight by a rookie agent. I mean, I can see if your client comes to you and like, look, my estimate's $20,000 higher than what we have it listed, because it can go wrong that way as well. Then you might be able to try to use that as a marketing tool. But to put it on when it's lower, you got to be real careful with that. I'll be honest. I think that all the brokers are doing these algorithms now to try to help people price their properties. I wish they would take them off, because I've been on certain, I'm not going to mention a company, but certain real estate companies' websites, and we're looking at the listing, and the listing's listed at $500,000, and their algorithm's telling you the house is only worth $480,000.
Oh, wow.
You're shooting yourself right in the foot right there, and it's their own company doing that. So, I think they really need to kind of get away from those because they're just not accurate and it's misleading.
Yeah, you just think like, I know some realtors are busier than others, but unless you have 100 clients you're working with 1 month, well, I would just think you'd want to spend time looking at that and making sure those things don't have those kind of mistakes.
You would think so. Unfortunately, in our business, you have people that are full-time, you have people that are part-time. So, you don't always get that same professionalism or even that same experience. And I think what you said, if he's using his estimate on his listing, or she is, that shows a lower value, that is a huge mistake. So I'm assuming that they're a rookie.
Yeah, I don't know. They just mentioned it to me. I'm like, yeah, I would have thought that would have slipped through the cracks. But now, listen, your team is growing. I know you're looking to add more people. You guys are doing great things. You want to talk a little bit about your team, what separates you, and if anyone's interested in a career in real estate, or maybe just they're not getting what they need to be successful at their current firm. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we're a team of 10. We're always looking to grow to bring the right people in. I think one of the biggest strengths about our team is it's not named after anybody individually. We're the Integrity Plus Network. And we do that for a reason, so you can still keep your own name. A lot of the things we do is we try to train the agents not only to be buyer agents, but we also want them to be listing agents, because in this business, your name's a lot. So if you can keep that and keep moving, that'll actually put you out there a little bit more. And I think our coaching is another part, because a lot of times you'll get mentors, and it's a short-term fix because, after a few transactions, they switch off these mentors, and you're basically their competition at that point. But if you're on a good, solid team like ours, then what happens is, we have an invested interest in you being successful long-term. So that coaching continues throughout the whole time, and I think that helps bring all the agents up, including them and us.
Yeah, and it's even our industry. I mean, I've seen people like, I've been doing this 20 years. That's great, but the market's changed in the last 2. So longevity is nice, but if you're not keeping up with what's going on with the programs, the technology, and everything else, so to hear that you guys have coaching, because we do the same thing. We bring in, coaches to help our people just really understand, like, here's what a customer's expecting. You look at our social media posts with the testimonials. The clients love, like, the videos and all the things that we put through and just keep them apprised. Same with the realtors. I mean, it's something that, I guess technology can be great, but, just parts of it that are good, parts of it that maybe not so much. When you're trying to download something and it's buffering for a half an hour, then technology stinks, right? But if you can use it to help other people out and understand things, like we just talked about these estimates and these algorithms, if it's going to come in lower than your asking price, is that technology really that good, or you don't want to make a mistake? So I think in the right hands, but it's really good to hear that you guys are doing coaching and everything else. So right now in the marketplace, are you seeing are sellers like thinking, okay, it's the holidays, they're telling you don't want to wait? Or are you seeing people are like, nah, I think I want to get in now while it's still a seller's market? What are some of the trends you're seeing with sellers?
So I think the big thing is it's keeping them educated, right? Because a lot of people think that as we get into these colder months and towards the holidays that people aren't buying. And honestly, this is some of the busiest time of the year for me. I tell a lot of my sellers that, the time to sell is when you're ready. If you try to time the market, it's never going to be right. So Correct. What you want to look at in this market, I think, is, if you got typically 20 showings over 2 days, because we're going into the holidays, you're not going to have as many people out looking. So it might only be 10, but those 10 are dead serious. If you're looking around the holidays, especially between November, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, you are definitely serious. Like, they're not window shoppers. These people are out here to buy, and you're still getting them, the multiple offers and all. Because this time of year, unless it snows for 2 weeks straight or something where you can't physically get out, it's still a great time to sell.
Makes sense. I know you have Erica there. Let's talk a little bit to her about I know you guys doing some stuff in the community. Let's talk about that coat drive and some other things you're doing in the community.
Hey, we're doing a call for coats that our Ellicott City office here is doing with Coldwell Banker. Before November 15th, we're trying to get as many coats as possible here. It doesn't matter if they're clean or dirty. If they are dirty, Admiral Cleaners is actually stepped up, and they did this with us last year as well, where they came in and cleaned the coats for us as well, and then we're able to hand them out to the community. So it's a great thing. And if you just call our number here, 410-740-7100, we can accept coats and let you know those hours, usually between 9 and 6.
Yeah, I love when businesses, and especially realtors, are involved in doing certain things. I was talking last segment, we're doing something with a nonprofit that we do some stuff with called Turnaround. And they basically, their whole mission is to help educate and prevent human trafficking. And it's actually more common than you think. So we're doing something with them where any realtor that signs up, you agree to donate $200 for every transaction to the nonprofit, so you get the write-off. And then the top agent would get a Orioles suite next year, and with free parking, food, drinks, whatever, they can entertain, do what they want. And then second prize is I can't remember now if it's 2 or 4 tickets, sort of behind home plate. So it's pretty cool. They got the mayor's endorsing it. They got a bunch of people endorsing it. So just another example of you guys are doing stuff in the community. We're trying to do stuff in the community. I think it's important, especially when it comes to the holidays. A lot of people, especially with the pandemic, people are still suffering. So it's good to hear, you guys and others are doing things in the community and helping others out. Real quickly, if anyone's listening and maybe is interested in maybe a career in real estate, or maybe it's a home buyer looking for a realtor, or someone looking to list a property, tell them how they can reach you guys.
To reach us, you can go to our website, integrityplusnetwork.com. You can reach us on my phone number, 301-996-2536. And we would love to get together with some other real estates in this in our area, because we're constantly hiring, looking for really good agents who have the same, work ethic and core beliefs that we do in this market. We would love to hire some people.
All right, excellent. Change the subject a little bit. So I'm starting to see more realtors do open houses, and that's something you really weren't seeing much of several months ago, just because homes didn't last that long on the market.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on open houses? Are they working? Is it just a way to highlight properties? Tell me a little bit about what the trend is now.
As long as the seller is okay with us doing an open house, we love doing them, because it does, promote the house more. We do a lot more advertising, additional advertising for the open houses. Also gives us a chance to train our mentees to be with us during these open houses. And then they can listen to us speak with potential buyers, and hopefully they get a lot more experience that way with so many buyers out there.
Mm-hmm. And then I think the other thing is, nowadays, people have cameras throughout their house, the Ring, all the other stuff. What are some things that I know you should probably disclose to the buyers? Hey, listen, you might be being recorded, everything else. We'll go back to technology. We were talking to Tony earlier. What are some things that you advise your sellers and buyers when it comes to being recorded?
You need to let the people know that they are going to be recorded, but they cannot record anything with audio. So audio, you may not record that at all. But what we advise our people is either take the cameras out before you list the home, or make sure you say, sometimes we walk in the house and it says, "Smile, you're on camera." Just so people know, and that they're not talking about the home or strategies. We always have them talk to us outside of the house, just in case of anything like that, discussion of the offers, or if they love it or if they hate it. You don't want to make sure that you insult any of these sellers out there.
You can see both sides, where a seller might think, well, I don't want, my heirloom jewelry my grandmom gave me stolen. If there was a camera in that room, then, but same thing with the buyers. They want to be able to walk around and feel sort of like free to, ask questions and do everything else. But again, it goes back to technology's changing everything, isn't it? So, hey, we're going to come up against a break. Yeah, let's hold that for next segment if you can. Is that good?
Great.
Because I'm running up against a break here. We're going to take a quick break, but first, let's talk about our friends over at Cooper's, with the original location right there in Fells Point, specials throughout the week, and an amazing brunch special on Saturday and Sunday. They also have a location up in Lutherville, and that's a great one as well. And, of course, their sister restaurant right next door to them in Fells Point is Salancha, where soccer is religion. You can see people lining up at 5 in the morning to watch their favorite teams play. But, of course, they also do rugby and everything else, and one of the best, if not the best, Irish restaurant in town. But also, Cooper's, best burger in Baltimore, according to City Paper, and then Best burger in Maryland, according to TripAdvisor. Those are lofty, lofty accolades. And Guy Fieri from Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives thinks their gumbo is one of the best out there as well. They're changing the menu. They have all kinds of specials throughout the time, burgers of the month, etc. So check it out. Cooper's with a K and Salancha. And tell them you heard it here on the radio. We're going to take a quick break and back with Erica and Tony from Integrity Plus Network of Coldwell Banker. Stay tuned.
The Weekend Real Estate Report will be right back on 105.7 The Fan.
You're listening to a pre-recorded show.
Now back to the Weekend Real Estate Report on 105.7 The Fan.
Hey, I don't know if you have kids that play sports, or maybe you're a weekend warrior yourself, or maybe even an athlete running or doing whatever, but if you ever have any kind of injury, you need some physical therapy, check out our friends at NovaCare Rehabilitation. These guys are so good at what they do. This is who a lot of our youth players go to, and I know a lot of college players and athletes will go there as well, and even some pro players. So if you ever have any need, your doctor's going to recommendation, ask them for NovaCare. They're affiliated with LifeBridge Health, which is another great organization as well. So something to think about if that ever pops up. But speaking of things that could pop up, how about you're walking in the house and next thing you know, there's a big camera looking at you. As Erica said, smile, you're on candid camera. Erica, let's finish up, your thoughts regarding when you're touring a house, thinking about buying it, and and cameras, like sometimes these things are like hidden. You don't even know it's like in a clock. Could be very visible, like regular Ring camera, whatever else. But sometimes, the nanny cams, the things you don't even think about. So let's finish up with that conversation.
So yes, disclosure is what you need to do so that no one, has any issues regarding that. That's why I always have to tell our sellers that if there's anything regarding your bank statements, your anything prescription drugs, jewelry, things like that, please hide or take it out of the house before you put your home on the market. And I think that would cover any kind of issues that you could have regarding that end of it.
Yeah, it makes sense. So you mentioned disclosure. So, Maryland, you have disclosure, disclaimer. It's oldie but a goodie. You want to just cover that real quickly just so people understand what those two things mean? And if you're listing your house and you know the roof leaks or you don't know the roof leaks, let's use that as an example and just educate people.
Right. For a disclosure disclaimer, the only time you would disclaim is if you do not live in the home, or you inherited this home and you know nothing about it. Disclosure is the most important thing, to make sure that you know the age of all of the items in the home, make sure that there are no latent defects, something that they know about the home they should disclose to you. And if we know of any of that information as well, if you disclose, it's the best way to make the transaction go a lot smoother, because then we can deal with that situation right away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people, it's 6 months later, the roof leaks, and then they get all mad and think, oh, well, you should have told me that. Well, if the roof wasn't leaking up to that point, sometimes it's just luck. I had a friend who, now sadly, his realtor told him to go with someone else, not us. But he bought a home. They settled the day before Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, the heater went up. So they spent Christmas Eve and Christmas with no heat. And he's like, If I went with you, I had a free warranty, right? I'm like, yeah. I said, I don't know if you called a guy 11 o'clock on Christmas Eve, he's coming out. But, hopefully he'll come out Christmas Day. I don't know. But bottom line is, did it have an issue before? Was it like acting up? Did they know? So, there's always those things, but it could have been perfectly working and then it just goes up, just like when you live in a house. Sometimes things just go up. I just had to replace my well pump and that was very expensive. But,
right.
Can you imagine if I sold and 2 days later that happened? The buyer could think, wow, you should have told me something, but we had no idea.
Exactly. So, if you have no idea, absolutely. I unfortunately just had something like that happen where, we had that, last weekend with the high waters and everything, and I sold a house, and all of a sudden, 2 days later, the pier was gone. And, they said, was the pier in good shape? And we said, of course it was in good shape. There's paperwork there, but no one accounts for, for floods. So, but luckily we were able to transfer the flood insurance over to these people and made sure that was covered. But This wasn't even in a flood zone. So things happen. If you know something about your homes, just disclose it so that there's no issues, legal issues later on down the road.
Absolutely. Sage advice. I know Tony wanted to jump up to talk a little bit about just some trends he's seeing.
Yeah, so just going out looking, I've noticed more and more in this market, and it happened to me yesterday in Elk Ridge. We see it a lot in rural areas, but kind of shocked to have the question come up in Elk Ridge, as populated as it is. But I think one of the big things right now is high-speed internet. The first question to come out of their mouth is like, does the house have Verizon or Comcast? And I think what it is, so many people are working from home now that they need the high-speed internet because they're on their computers. And, we did have some homeschooling and stuff like that going on. So that's definitely a big trend. The home offices, I think, have picked up a lot of momentum. And I'm actually seeing more and more because both spouses are, if there are couples that are working from home, they don't want one office, they want two because they both can't be on a Zoom meeting in the same office. So they need their own separate spaces. So now instead of, can the living room be converted to an office instead of having a family room and a living room? They're like, how many places do we need to sit? But we could really use a second office because we're both working from home. They're probably the two biggest things that I've seen come out of this.
Hey, so you just made me think of something because people work from home. You just mentioned about, both might work from home. So the trend for the last 5, 6, 10 years has been these open floor plans. Are you seeing people now saying, I kind of want the, 1990 colonial where, each room had a door? Like, are you seeing that again?
It's funny you said that. The people that I showed yesterday in Elk Ridge, they definitely want the older look. They want the division. Most people still want the open floor plan, but they do want enough of it like to be separated. So like maybe a finished basement where one of them could go work, and then upstairs if they have a den or something. But the kitchen, living room area, even like the sunroom going out to the decks, people still want really open for entertaining. So I don't think that one's going to go away.
Okay. Yeah, just thinking about that. You said that. I'm like, I have friends that are in Florida and no kids or anything. They both work and they work from home. And he usually goes up in the spare bedroom and she's in the dining room. But the dining room is wide open. But I could just imagine they have no pets. But if you had pets, whatever, kids, I could see just, a little bit of outside noise and kind of hard to do the Zooms and all the other stuff going on. So anything else besides
we deal with that too in my house, me and my wife, because we got 2 dogs and, a squirrel runs by and you're on a Zoom call or something, trying to shut doors and everything. So yeah, that's a huge hassle.
So what are some other things now? Because I think, with rates, the Fed just made their announcement, rates moved up a tiny bit, whatever else. Usually we're seeing when that happens, people panic and jump in and say, I got to refinance because they think they're going to miss out on something. Have you seen, and I know it's only been a couple of days, but have you seen a little bit of a surge in that, or are things just sort of status quo?
I think it's status quo right now. I mean, talking to different buyers and sellers as we go through the market, you talk to them about how things fluctuate, right? Because from one week to the next, it can always go up or down. So unless it's a continual climb, you really can just stay calm. So I haven't noticed any panic yet. And even if the interest rates go up a little bit, I mean, they're still historically low. So I think,
absolutely,
overall, it is now is the time to buy.
Yeah, I think it's a good time. And there's some people out there saying that they think the market's going to correct or whatever else. I think, as you said, like it started to stabilize. We needed that because if prices continue to increase, and rates do move up, what happens? Unless people start making a ton more money, how are they affording that? So, affordability is the other issue you have to look at. And, when you look at the pandemic, some jurisdictions saw, less revenue because maybe people weren't, payroll tax was down or whatever. How are they replacing that? So there's all kinds of things to think about when it comes to that. Right now, I mean, if you guys are looking to add people to your team and everything else, that means you're optimistic about the market and housing in general, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it where, I don't think we're going to be in a dive to be a buyer's market anytime soon. I still think, like you said, it's just stabilized, right? I mean, it's kind of going back to what last year was. Last year was a great seller's market. It's just, I think people got spoiled a little bit when you looked at, 60 showings in 2 days and, 25 or 30 offers and going, I had one and went 100,000 over asking. That's not normal, so it's not going to keep doing that. Like you said, it's going to hit a height and it's going to have to stop or nobody will be able to buy. So I think by the normalizing, it'll actually keep the market healthy longer.
All right. So a first-time buyer couple, recently married, contacts you and says that they want to buy a home in the next 3 months. What's your advice?
First thing is talk to a mortgage company, get pre-approved. Freedmont, you want to stay local. I actually just had an offer accepted because the agent for the listing agent actually knew who you guys were, that you were local, and that gives them a lot of comfort, especially if you're getting in competitive situations. Because if somebody's coming with out-of-town lenders or these online lenders, they're a little skeptical because we've all had problems with them. Yeah. So the very first thing is obviously reach out to a good lender, get that pre-approval, because if you do find the house, even if you're not ready for 6 months and you're starting to look, if the right one pops up, because we do still, we don't have a lot of inventory. So if that right one pops up, you just want to be ready to be able to make that offer that day. You don't have to, but if you're ready and it comes up, then it kind of all falls in line. As you know, if they wait, by the time they get pre-approved, that house is probably gone.
Or, there's a blip on their credit. It could be an error that we have to fix, or maybe they could do one or two minor things and boost their credit score 15, 20 points and be in the next best rate bracket, right? So being a little bit preemptive and doing it early allows you time to while if your self-imposed deadline is 3 months, let's use those few months to get you to be the best possible situation you could be. So when you get that pre-approval and start going out looking at homes with you, everything's, perfect.
Exactly. So what I try to do typically is when they first call, set up a buyer's consultation and basically just walk them through all that, talk to them about getting a pre-approval, explain to them what agency is, get in depth what they're looking for in the area, and just walk through the buying process. Because what I found out over the years is if we take a minute and just take a break before we actually get started and we sit down and have that talk, they'll understand the process more as we go through it, which makes them more comfortable instead of them feeling like drug through it. Because as you know, once you get out and you start looking at houses and you find one, it really steamrolls. That process speeds up quick. And I think that makes people nervous, but if they kind of understand the process before they actually jump in, it keeps them calm and lets them understand it and then make it easier on them.
All right, makes sense. All right, and then as far as a seller, what would you tell them if they say, hey, we're thinking of putting our house on the market in a couple months? What are some things you would say to them?
Well, the first questions I'm having with sellers now is, are you looking? Because, having a home sale contingency in this market, you can almost forget about getting the offer. So it's important to have that second plan. If they're going to sell, we're really not going to have a problem selling. It's going to be where they're going to go once it sells. So that's a big question. And then the other one I've been bringing up, and you could probably speak to this, Carl, is if they've done any of the forbearances. Because, one of the things we'd like to find out is how much they owe on the house. So when we do their net sheets to show them what they would walk away with the sales price, we want to know if there's a forbearance in there, because if they haven't paid their mortgage in a year or two, they're going to be paying in a settlement. And we got to make sure we know that number, because if it's tight, maybe they're not walking away with money, they're bringing it to the table, and you don't want to find that out later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's because they're usually counting on every dollar, and if you get an offer and, you have to give some settlement help or whatever the case may be, and then you find out your payoff's, $4,000 more than you thought, they're a little bit upset. So, again, be transparent, be honest, and work with a competent real estate group. We'll come up to the end of the hour here. So, real quickly, if you're interested in learning more about what Integrity Plus can do for you as either an agent looking for better opportunity or a buyer or seller, you can reach out to Tony and Erica. Quickly, guys, give me your information.
Sure. Just reach out to us online. It's the easiest way, integrityplusnetwork.com. Or you can give me a call at 443-610-9462, and we'd be happy to help you buy, sell, or invest. Or if you're looking to get in a career in real estate, we can help with that too.
Absolutely. Perfect. Great. I appreciate you guys taking some time out of your busy Sunday. And good luck with your showings today. And again, Integrity Plus Network, not only a sponsor of the show, but someone that we recommend very highly. These guys are very good at what they do. We're going to thank you for listening. Next Sunday, another great show. More information. If you need us during the week, we're here for you. Never an application fee. 800-955-8508 or online, Freedmont, FREEDMONT.com. NMLS number 2893. And of course, always check out our Facebook and Instagram pages because we have some great information there, including some tutorial videos and just the latest on what's going on. And once again, thank all of our listeners for making us the top-rated show here on weekends. Do appreciate that. Be safe. We'll talk to you guys next Sunday.